What's up, everybody, and welcome to Mevo Multicam Live. My name is Will Kirkpatrick, and I'm a Senior Technical Specialist here at Mevo. And if you're new to Multicam, if you're new to the show, first off, welcome. Multicam is a fantastic, completely free app that we have that you can now use to connect up to 3 Mevos, Mevo Start, Mevo Plus, or Mevo First Gen, to the Multicam app. You can connect up to 3 and then stream or record to your favorite destinations. This show is going to be really fun. We are going to be using Multicam connected to OBS, which I'll show you in a moment. If you have any questions at all related to Multicam, put those in the chat and I'll get to those in a bit. And let me tell you a little bit about the current setup right now. So we have 3 Mevo starts. I'll give you a quick tour of all of them real quick. So we've got 3 Mevo starts. 2 of them are on Wi-Fi, and then one of them is on a power over Ethernet adapter. You can obviously do both. It really depends on your current setup. If you don't have a great Wi-Fi connection, then using those power over Ethernet adapters are really, really great and useful for a really stable and strong stream. But if you have good Wi-Fi, then it's a great way to go. Less wires is always nice. So a huge part about why the Multicam app is so great is that it's so much easier, so much less expensive, and there are so many less moving parts than in a traditional multi-camera broadcast. Obviously, today we're going to be using OBS, so we are using computers, but typically, if you've seen the show in the past, you've seen me do it all on a single device. It works on both phones and tablets, both iOS and Android. And it really gives you a lot of freedom to do so many things that you would normally do on a multi-camera broadcast just with a single device that's really easy to control. As you can see, it's all right here, and you can see it on your screen just like that. So let's talk a little bit about the app. We'll do a little bit of a tour of you that are new. And for those of you that are seasoned veterans of the channel, we will get into OBS in just a sec. But obviously you can see that I'm using OBS. You can see the graphic, which is up here, nice little Mevo logo. And then of course the entire overlay here of the Mevo Multicam app. So jumping into the app, as you can see, we've got graphics loaded up. So obviously Multicam is really great for a lot of different scenarios. Some really popular ones that we've seen: sports, obviously, baseball and softball are really big. Seen a lot of soccer as well, and a little bit of football. House of worship, obviously a huge one for us always. Let's see, we've seen some really good podcasting. We've seen some baking shows. If you're doing something cool with Multicam, whether it's something that I've just listed or something that I haven't listed, put that in chat. I'd love to hear about how you're using Multicam, and I'm always impressed with everybody's use of it. And if you're doing something cool, definitely post it in the Facebook group as well. Right, so obviously you can jump in and do overlay graphics just like that, just tapping. And then for this one specifically, this is actually text overlaid to the picture. So all of these pictures are full screen overlays. They are PNG files, which allows them to be transparent. And then we've got text overlaid on top of the image, so I can quickly adjust the score just like that, which is really, really nice for those of you playing sports. I know that there are a lot of House of Worship broadcasters, as I mentioned before. I know that they love to have the lyrics on the screen, so it's really, really easy to throw those up there and just show everybody what is playing. You can connect, obviously, all the cameras wireless or PoE, as I mentioned before. And speaking of all of these Mevos, we have currently a DJ bundle going on right now on the Mevo.com website. And that DJ bundle is Mevo Start, a Mevo Power over Ethernet adapter, a Mevo Start case, and then a Mevo floor stand. So it's a great way to kind of jump into the Mevo universe, but it's even better when you pick up the 3-pack, which I know is currently sold out and back ordered because it went extremely fast, but we're getting some back in stock really, really soon. So be excited for that if you haven't already picked it up. All right, let's bring Multicam back here. So if you've seen in past shows, another great thing about Multicam is that you can mix the audio in the app. So what you can do is you can have 3 Mevos that are all using their internal microphones, and you can quickly turn them on and off just like that. You can also bring audio into the Mevo using the 3.5mm TRS adapter on the Mevo Start or the USB-C port on the back. So right now, this Bluebird microphone is going into a audio mixer, and then from the audio mixer, it's going into the back of the Mevo Start using a 3.5mm TRS cable. But as I've said before in past shows, you can add in, maybe you want to have one Mevo be a dedicated music Mevo, and you have a tablet or a phone or a computer that's sending a signal into that Mevo, and that's playing music. You can have that other Mevo, you can have one Mevo in the audience or the crowd that's picking up that noise for that singing or cheering for the team, all that kind of stuff. And then you can have another Mevo that's maybe close to the coach and picking up that audio. So you can really get creative with all these different audio sources and have them all turned on if you wanted to, or just specific ones that you're using the most. So as you can see, I've had the transition where it's a little bit of a crossfade. You can also do a cut transition, and this will do quick jumps between the cameras. And again, we'd like to add these options because it really lets your stream be more dynamic and more personal to what you're broadcasting. Obviously, the cut transition is probably more suited for sports or even podcasting, but then at the same time, you've got the crossfade, which is maybe good for a live concert, also podcasting maybe. So it really depends. Back into settings. Camera Assistant, also another popular feature. It's great because you can turn this on, and the Mevo Multicam app will automatically switch from one camera to the other, and it'll do it in the set time frame that you do here down at the bottom. I'm going to do 3 seconds just so you can see it. And then you can set up to 2 preferred shots, and these shots are the shots that the Mevo will switch to most often. So say I wanted this one, and let's do the Mevo logo as well. So it'll use these cameras more often than the other ones that are not set to preferred. And there you go, automatically switching for me. And this is great if you are, you don't have a camera crew or a specific cameraman, you don't have a controller, or maybe you just want it all to be automatic. Lots and lots of options and lots of scenarios where you'd want to have the switching be automatic. We're going to talk a little bit later about connecting to OBS, and then you can use virtual cam from OBS into something like Zoom, and then if you have the cameras changing dynamically using Auto Director, then that makes for a really cool Zoom call. So that's definitely something we're going to talk about and go over in a little bit. I know everybody's excited about that. Crop settings, we just recently in the 1.0 app added crop and zoom. You can adjust this just like in the Mevo 2.0 app. I was talking to someone recently about the tap and hold delay, and that's a really nice feature that's added, especially if you're doing a lot of actions like slow or fast zoom in or out. So if you're doing something like that, you might want to have it lower. And then, of course, the transition. So if you're doing the transition from one location to another. You can have it be fast or slow, and you can set that default speed there. Camera input quality. This is the quality that's being sent from the Mevo to the Multicam app. So this is something that you'll want to adjust depending on your network. Right now, I'm on a great Wi-Fi network, so I have it on high. I want you guys to have the best quality. And then video source latency. If you have not a lot of network bandwidth, or maybe it's a really, really busy network like the one we're on right now, where there are about, I don't know, 12 Mevos that are on right now. So I have it set to high latency, and latency is the time that it takes the picture to get from the Mevo to the Multicam app. So if you set to a lower latency, then obviously it'll be a shorter time period. So those are the Multicam app settings. Obviously you can go to the 3-dot image adjustments just like in the Mevo 2.0 app, and then you can do Mevo settings, crop and zoom. It's really, really easy. And if there are any questions for any of those features, please let me know and we'll get into that. Also, one last thing that I do want to point out that I love pointing out is the record feature, and how you can have it record to the device, and that's the output obviously that you're seeing. God, it's hard to, there you go, right there. This output, that is going to be recorded directly to the device, and that includes switching and stuff like that. That's really nice, especially for me personally, because as soon as I'm done doing a broadcast or even doing a test stream, I can just easily share the device to social networks or to Slack or anything like that. So that's a really great feature. And then the other feature is that it will do ISO recording. And ISO recording is really, really nice because it means that it will record what the Mevo is seeing on every single one of the Mevos the entire time. So that means once you're done shooting, you can take out the SD card and you can put it into your computer and have a really great edit that you can finally send out to other people. Another great thing about it is that if you're doing something like sports or gaming or even podcasting, maybe even doing a concert, there's so many great uses for it. You might not be quick enough to do that quick switch with the camera, and so you'll always have that Mevo's viewpoint recorded. So if something happens that you missed or you couldn't switch to it fast enough, you will always have that recording of that event. So looks like we're getting a ton of questions, which is very exciting. All right, so before we jump into those, I do want to go over, actually no, we'll jump into those. And then we'll jump into how we're doing OBS right now with the Multicam app. All right. Peaks to Plans, live streaming and media solutions. We streamed a band concert with the Multicam exclusively last night. Overall, things went great. That's awesome. I love to hear that. Post some of the concert. I'd love to check it out on the Facebook group. Ben Becker says, any timeline to address the zoom and crop bug? So that is in the works and is coming very, very soon. So be excited for that. I promise that we're always working to fix these things really, really fast as possible. Edison says, hey guys. Hey Edison, how are you doing? Are you having a good day? It's hump day. We've made it halfway through the week. Congratulations all. Rudy says, hey guys, how can I get in touch with you all? I have a few questions. Mevo.com, best way to get a hold of us, and we can answer all sorts of questions. There you go. help.mevo.com. If you can't find your answer in the help section, then just open a ticket and one of us will be happy to help you out. All right. Singh says, please fix the bugs. Whenever we use the Multicam app or Facebook Live, the app automatically makes the live stream private. So, really excited about this news. This is actually going to be in the next release. In the meantime, you can definitely stream to Facebook via RTMP, and that'll be public. but I know that that's not the most convenient, and we have a fix already, and that's going to be released very soon. All right, Pastor, what kind of apps can I use to make Mevo recordings more professional? How great is the quality of sound recording? Had trouble with sound with the Mevo Plus. So, okay, multiple questions here. So what kinds of app can you use to make the Mevo recording more professional? So, Mevo recording, you can obviously bring that into Final Cut or Adobe Premiere and really make that recording cool and very interesting. And then let's see. How great is the quality of sound recording? It really depends, obviously. So right now, I'm using this incredible mic that's going into an audio mixer and then into the start. So the audio is really, really good, and it also depends on the camera input quality and the stream quality. So if you set it all the way up, it can be really, really good. And then lastly, you were saying that you had trouble with sound with the Mevo Plus. Is this internal mics, external mics? If you haven't already, please open up a ticket and we'd be happy to help you out with that. All right. Why did you guys stop selling the Mevo Start charger? We definitely didn't. It's still there on mevo.com, so you can see that and pick that up there. Mark Freeman says, can you create an adapter cold shoe mount to hold accessories on top of the Start as highlighted in the Facebook group? So yeah, this is definitely something in the Facebook group that, God, why am I blanking? Jason Hoffman, I think, is the one that's doing them. So you can contact him. I know he's been doing it. We would love to start making something like that ourselves. Maybe in the future we'll be able to do it. It's definitely something that I would love to see. All right. Thank you all for those questions. Let's jump into some OBS stuff. So first, let me talk about what's going on. So currently, there is no way to get Multicam into OBS except for using a custom RTMP stream. And to do that, it's a bit complicated. There are definitely some downsides. Obviously, there are some plus sides, otherwise we wouldn't show you it at all. But downsides, there is definitely a delay in the time that I'm talking, and then it's showing up into OBS because it's going from the Multicam app to the computer, and it's streaming directly to it, versus something like an NDI connection that would just be this quick direct link, which is something that we're working on, both NDI in and out of the Multicam app. But you can do stuff like if I wanted to do a GIF. So GIFs obviously add a lot to your stream. You can have some cool ones. I love this start spinning one. It used to be on Slack. I miss it a lot. You can also do, obviously, regular images and PNGs. I think I'm pointing to the right thing. There you go. So that's really nice. And then you can also add, this is probably the biggest reason why people would want to use OBS, which is to add videos. So I actually made a nice little instructional video, which I'll throw up right now. So you open the RTMP server application. I did this on Mac because on Mac, the RTMP server application is free. And then you would go into RTMP just like that in the Multicam app. Type in your IP address, RTMP //RT, your IP address /live. And then you would do the stream key provided by the RTMP server application. Then you can just go live, and then it'll take a couple seconds, and then you'll be streaming live directly to your computer. The application sees it, copy that URL and stream key. Then going into OBS, go to media source, uncheck local file, and in the input, type it in, copy it, and paste it there. Do OK, and there you go. And then you're streaming live, and it's just layers, so you can reorganize it and switch just like that from the Multicam app. So there are a lot of advantages to doing it like this, and probably the main one is that if you connect 3 Mevo starts to your computer directly to OBS, whether it's wired web or NDI, then it can be a really heavy load on the computer, and then from that, then OBS has to encode it, and if you want to add graphics on top of that, then you're looking at really high CPU usage, and as is, my computer the fans are going crazy right now. But that being said, I'm under 10% of CPU because it's all being done, all these graphics, or most of these graphics at least, are done in the Multicam app. So it's a huge advantage to have that workload being done on the Multicam app versus OBS. All right. Oh yeah, another really cool thing is you can do virtual camera like this right here, and then you can bring your OBS into something like Zoom, Teams, Google Meets, whatever it is, and so you can show everybody multiple cameras directly from the Multicam app. You can have these on-screen demos like I have right here. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do from OBS. All right, more questions. Mike says, will you guys ever be able to put videos into overlays? Definitely, it's definitely something we're looking into, definitely something that we want to do. So yeah, hopefully we will, and you'll definitely see it on this show first as I get to preview all the latest and greatest here. But again, you can connect it up to OBS and add the video overlays like I just did. Dan says, I had my Mevo start on cable Ethernet and my iPad also on Ethernet. Why do I get warning this slow write speed? So recording stopped. So the slow write speed is something that we're looking into, but it's usually with older iPads. It doesn't have to do with your connection. It's more of the internal write speed. So we are looking at that, but usually happens on older iPads. David Day says, how well does multi-channel audio work, feeding audio into the multiple cameras instead of an audio mixer? So it works really well. If you've seen my past shows, this is something that I demo, and really easy to do once you just go into the volume, and then you can adjust those individual mics really easily right there. I actually like this trick a lot, and I've used it on a lot of my past shows. I don't have the tablet set up right now, but what I do is I have a tablet that has a 3.5 millimeter TRS going from the tablet to the back of one of my secondary Mevos. And then I just turn that on, keep the volume really low. It's nice for background music. It's great for sound effects. A lot of good uses for that. All right. Edison says, got a question. It's a good place to be. Can you remotely connect to your Mevo camera, which is not at the same location and not on the same internet network? You cannot. This is definitely a highly requested feature. I know a lot of people want to connect to it remotely. Unfortunately, the Mevo 2.0 app and the Multicam app cannot do that. So yeah. Robert says, just found the Mevo Start camera a couple of weeks ago, picked one up, and it's great so far. Any plans to offer full NDI support on Ethernet only, or is it NDI HX only? So not at this time. We don't have any plans to extend that NDI support further than NDI HX. Pastor Marcelino, man, I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Thank you for answering my questions. My pleasure. Thank you for asking them. Brian says, can I make different font sizes and colors for the text box that goes for the overlays? Also, can I make it where I move the text around freely? So yes and no. You can't move the text around freely, and you can't adjust the font sizes, but you can adjust the font color to be either white or black, and you can adjust the overlay box as well. So I'll jump into this. Actually, I'll create a new one. So I'll go to graphics, plus sign, graphics, and then lower third. All right, there. Getting really good with my one-handed tablet skills. So you can obviously go black or white for the text. You can do a background color. You can change the opacity of that a little bit. You can adjust the location. And then there you go. Really easy. Oh, there you go. All right. Christopher says, if you're using a Mevo camera outside, should we be cautious about heat? It really depends on which one you have. The Mevo Start handles heat a lot better than the Mevo Plus due to the Mevo Plus's size. But the Mevo Start is great. I was out on the baseball field last week doing this live show and had no problems with my starts, and I was doing testing for hours before doing the live show. Edison says, is there a remote control feature? Is the remote control feature something you guys plan to do in the future since you have a lot of requests? It's definitely something that we're looking into. I'm not sure about the time frame or whether or not that'll be added, but it would be really cool. Edison also says, I have a Mevo Start. Can I use the Multicam app with it? Yeah, absolutely. Mevo Start, Mevo Plus, and Mevo First Gen all work with the Multicam app, which is honestly really crazy nice. Because all of our apps, we want to support all of the Mevos that have been released, and it's not something that you honestly see a lot of, where you have hardware makers that are supporting all of their old products, and so it's really, really cool that we have the Mevo 2.0 app and the Multicam app both working with even the very first Mevo. Robert Henry says, thanks for taking my question. My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you all for the questions coming in like crazy today. I'm surprised there have been no questions about OBS. So either my video was extremely good and there aren't any questions just because it was so good in covering every step of it, or you're less excited to use OBS with Multicam, which is actually kind of great. I very rarely use OBS with Multicam because Multicam is the reason that you don't use OBS, essentially. Like, obviously you can add in the animations and the videos that I've done, but that's not really a good trade-off to use a computer. And this is a MacBook Pro, so assuming that you have a fairly powerful computer to run OBS in the beginning, there's just not a huge upside to using this versus this. I definitely prefer using pure Multicam, and you can do almost all of this with it. So obviously it would depend on your use case, but I love that OBS has basically taken, like, Multicam has taken pretty much all of the best stuff from OBS, and a lot of the features that we've listed as the coming soon features for Multicam will just make OBS completely obsolete. So I'm excited for that. All right. How well does the Mevo Start work on the computer with webcam? Really well. You can obviously do wired webcam with the Mevo Start. You can also do wireless webcam with the Mevo Start. You can do NDI with the Mevo Start. Webcam, USB is great, wired webcam. The only limit to that is that it's 720 as the maximum resolution. So wireless webcam is really, really nice. If you haven't seen, we have a beta group for the Windows wireless webcam, which I know people ask about a lot. The Mac wireless webcam version is out now on Mevo.com. So yeah, it works really, really well. I use it for almost every one of my Zoom meetings every day. Victor says, I use OBS a lot, but not Multicam, as I only have one Mevo. So you can definitely use the Multicam app with a single Mevo, and while it might not seem by the name that it would be as good as the Mevo 2.0 app, you could actually do a lot of really cool things in the Multicam app that you can't do in the Mevo 2.0 app. There are a lot of cool things you can do in the Mevo 2.0 app that you can't do in the Multicam app, but less and less for sure. And graphics are definitely one of the bigger ones. Right. Sanskrit, I have 2 Mevos, planning to buy a third, but I can't wait for the next version that you are planning to release. Without divulging much, do you think that there's a new product that might be out in the next year? Well, that's a great question, and who knows? We are always trying to improve the Mevo experience, whether it's through hardware or software, but yeah, the best I can say is to like, follow, subscribe, all of our social networks, especially our Facebook groups, and you'll find out there first. But right now, we just released the Mevo Start 3-pack, and we're pretty excited about that. So, all right. Victor says, is the PC wireless cam 1080p? I use NDI because of the 1080p. So NDI is great. The PC wireless webcam, I believe, is now doing 1080p, but that's a good question to ask Joseph on the Friday show, which is the audio show, but it's also now the webcam show. So speaking of our shows, we have shows Tuesday through Friday. We've got so many now. All at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Tuesday, we've got Joe doing an AMA show where he gets to answer literally every Mevo question known to man, and it's really cool that you can ask him anything that you can think of Mevo related, and he's got an answer for you right there. Wednesdays, we've got this show. I get to show you the latest and greatest with the Multicam app. I'm always trying to test new situations with the Multicam app and push it to its limits, and so I get to do that, and it's really exciting for me. And then we have Thursday's show, which is Mevo Live, and Joe and I do the show together, and we get to go and do deep dives into everything Mevo related, show you examples, show you walkthroughs of all the features, and answer tons of questions, of course. And then Friday we have the audio show, and the audio show is done by Joseph, and he answers way more questions that I can even think of, honestly. I always learn something new on his show, and he now covers all sorts of webcam stuff as well. So check all those shows out. Christopher says, perfect, thank you, my pleasure. Thank you for the question. All right. Man, you guys are killing it today. So, a cool graphic that I have not used yet, done by our fantastic Dan. We have a referral program, and so many people reach out saying that they tell their friends all about Mevo, and we love that so much that we have this referral program where if you tell somebody about the Mevo and they purchase it on Mevo.com, not only will they get 5% off, but you will get 5% commission for that referral. So it's a great way to get other people involved in the Mevo community in addition to making some money yourself, which is always, always nice. So check that out, mevo.com/referral. All right. Sanskrit says, once a Mevo camera starts streaming, does it broadcast directly to the router? What happens if the iPad running the Multicam app runs out of power or gets out of range? So, this is a good question. Unlike the Mevo 2.0 app, the Multicam app is very dependent on the device that controls it or has the Mevo or has the app on it. So the Mevo 2.0 app, if your Mevo is connected to Wi-Fi, even if your device disconnects, it'll still keep streaming. Obviously not in hotspot mode, but if it's on Wi-Fi or connected to Ethernet, it'll keep going. The Multicam app is streaming from the app and not directly from the Mevos. So you need this connected the whole time, and you do not want it to run out of power or get out of range. But there are different hacks to save both of those scenarios. Obviously, you can walk around with external battery pack that's charging the device, and you can also do a nice Wi-Fi router, which I did last week. Even if you're on location, you can bring a home Wi-Fi router, get that extra range, extra space, and yeah, so there are ways around both of those things. Victor says, I think the fact that Mevo has NDI is amazing. I absolutely agree. I think NDI is probably the coolest feature of the Mevo Start, and obviously if we can bring that into the Multicam app, which is the plan, then your options are endless for bringing video in, taking video out. Really exciting stuff. I honestly cannot wait to play with that more. Stacy says, been using a single Mevo to live stream our Sunday services. Purchased a 3-pack to improve our options. Nice. I'm glad that you got it before it was sold out. Is the new iPad the best option to run Multicam app? So it depends. It depends what your budget is. It depends what your preference is for operating system. I really like the iPad Pro. All of the new iPads, I think it's iOS 13 and above. I'm not positive about that, but I think 13 and above will do the Multicam app. And if you have a smaller budget, then Samsungs are really good, but don't get the Samsung Tab A because the tablet or phone has to have over 3 gigs of RAM. All right. Christopher says, do you find Wi-Fi boosters are okay to use while streaming using 3 Mevo starts? I'm broadcasting for a band from a farm this weekend, and I'm bringing Wi-Fi boosters with me just in case. So some Wi-Fi boosters are great and some are not as great. I would say that if you want the best kind of Wi-Fi range is to use a mesh Wi-Fi setup. But yeah, I would do a lot of testing beforehand. But typically, if you have a Wi-Fi booster, I know Netgear makes some pretty good ones. So typically it'll be pretty good. It also depends on the range that you're trying to get. But yeah, I would do a little bit of testing first. Edison says, Mevo for Windows, when will it be available? So the Windows wireless webcam, which I assume that you're talking about, is in early beta right now, but it is released in the Mevo webcam group, and I'm sure we can put a link to that group in chat so you can check that out. But don't forget, it is in early beta, so there's still a lot that we're working on with it. Thanks for all those questions. Man, you guys are just killing it nonstop. How is everybody using Multicam? I loved that somebody reached out and said they were using a single Mevo. Yeah, how are you doing it? I am doing multicam setups every day, and I'm trying a lot of Mevos. So it's a lot of fun for me to use it for lots of different scenarios. But I've seen some really cool ones in the group. I've seen a lot of great concerts. I've seen, obviously, baking is always one that sticks out to me because it's just such an original use for it. Like I said before, House of Worship is hugely popular. And now that the weather is getting really nice and really hot, all the sports are starting too, which is a lot of fun. All right. Well, thank everybody for those questions. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you have any questions that weren't answered here, you can put them in the Facebook group. We usually jump into those. If they're not answered there, then go over to help.mevo.com, and there you go. And we have tons and tons of articles. We now have a lot of articles on Multicam, but if you don't find your answer there either, then open up a ticket and we would be happy to help you one-on-one. And that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, we have shows all week long, starting from Tuesday all the way to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will see you next week for the Multicam show and tomorrow for Mevo Live. If you have any more questions, reach out to me. Happy to answer any of them. All right, I will see you tomorrow.